Now, a week after the gory accident that claimed some 10 lives, JoyNews visited the communities of Jaisayo and Sablakope in the Karachi West District, where the victims reside. The typical rural farming and fishing communities have the victims left to their fate, as the referred cannot just afford to travel to their various referral health facilities. The accident victims are resorting to the use of local medications, painkillers, and antibiotics to treat varying degrees of injuries in their homes. Correspondent Peter Senu visited the communities and has sent this report, which may be very sensitive for some of our viewers.
106 people, according to the Karachi youth president, were involved in the accident that claimed 10 lives. The 11th, who died after being referred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Children as little as 3 to 8 years were involved in the accident. It took this woman, who lost her husband several seconds, to muster courage to narrate exactly what happened on that fateful day. This is Sablakope, a fishing community with about 300 residents. Over 15 people are managing varying degrees of injuries here. Those referred say they cannot afford, so they are relying on local treatment. One woman from here lost both hands and is currently receiving treatment at the regional hospital in Ho. This little boy cannot just lift his arm as he used to do. One appeal on their lips is the help to receive some medication to avert any crisis in the coming days. You have seen for yourself. We really need help. We are suffering. Lest I forget, there was also premature labor as this baby was delivered because of the accident. Let us now move to Jaisayo. This is a typical peasant farming community. This is the most affected community in the accident.
If you look at the degree of injuries they have sustained, the assistance we are giving them, some have been referred because they don't have money. They are still lying there. You look at some had fractures and they have been asked to go to the respective hospitals where they could have a proper attention. But because they don't have money, they are doing this local treatment. And you can understand, as I'm speaking to you, some of them, it will take them 2 or 3 years before they will be able to work. And you can look at their plight. It's beyond what we are doing now. I think that the general public, NGOs, government, everybody should come on board, because what happened is a disaster.
Well, we'll bring you some more details of the story. The angle of the hospital, Peter Semovo will bring us a lot more on this rather very disturbing story. Now, in a related development, the DVLA has joined the multimedia group's Arrive Alive campaign to help curb road accidents. In the interim, the DVLA will visit commercial transport terminals to educate and get drivers to appreciate the need to be safe on the road and protect lives. I've been speaking to Kafui Semovo, who is Deputy Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at the DVLA. I'm talking to Kafui Semovo. He's in charge of driver training and licensing as in Deputy Director at the DVLA, with the 37 DVLA office, and it's because of our Arrive Alive campaign. And Kafui was telling us about a collaboration that we're having together.
The other thing we want to do, especially with this collaboration with multimedia, is to engage the various commercial transport terminals and then visit them, find out which vehicles are not supposed to be on the road because they are not roadworthy. Now, the point
is it because they are not roadworthy because they don't have the roadworthy stickers, or they have the stickers but they are still not roadworthy?
There are two things. You may go through the inspection, leave, and you may develop faults after the inspection. The sticker has been given to you because you are going 6 months, every 6 months to do the inspection. Now, within the time you've had the inspection done and certified, and then the 6 months elapse, anything could happen. But we expect that the owners of the vehicle take up the responsibility to ensure that even when the sticker is valid, the vehicle is still in the condition it was before it was certified. Now, if they are not doing this, then it is for us to step in and make sure they are doing it. And that is why we want to visit the various terminals, engage the leadership, encourage them to make sure that the vehicles that carry the passengers around are roadworthy. Now, the first step we want to take is that these vehicles that are identified will be told what is wrong and be given time to fix it.
Okay.
That will do a follow-up. If it is not done, then we have to apply some sanctions.
So what timelines are you given? So if you came in and realized that there were a few vehicles that were not roadworthy per your the standards that you're using, and what time would you give them to fix?
Now, if let's say we go in and see, depending on what the problem
so
is.
say there are no seat belts, for instance.
If there are seat belts, I mean, I can say that within 14 days minimum, we'll go back to find out whether those things have been fixed. Okay. If they are not done, then we can issue the layoff certificate to lay off those vehicles.
The issue is this will not be the first time that you'd be making an appeal to owners of vehicles and drivers to have seat belts in their vehicles.
Yeah. But you recall that when the policy was started, it started and there was some resistance. Okay. But now, looking at the feedbacks we are getting, right? We can't sit back and say because people resisted, it is not good for us. What is good for us, we need to educate the people to understand why it should be done. And we need to guide them to do it and do it right.
But how sure are we that you will not excite us by saying you're going to enforce something and then leave us in the middle when there's a lot of pressure on you? I mean, also remember that this is a crucial year.
So remember, we have a dedicated task force, and that is their daily duty. Now, the collaboration is that it's sort of naming and shaming approach to it.
Okay.
So
that's why we're doing it together.
Exactly. So I don't see this collapsing, and I believe that when you are enforcing a particular regulation, it is the way you enforce it that sustains it. So we are not doing the traditional way of arresting and punishing, but we are approaching it in a manner that we encourage compliance. Okay. I mean, if I sit a driver down and I explain to you what the seatbelt can do to you, I don't think that you will go back and say I will fix it. And also, when after explaining to you, and you know that if you don't do it, it comes with some sanctioning, and that sanction affects your daily bread, of course you will have to fix it.
So let's talk about how this is going to work. When is the task force going out?
I think we had the first discussion with your team. We are going to finalize this week. Then we all agree on the date and communicate the date to the various target groups that we want to visit.
Okay. So they will know that we are coming.
Yeah, they will know. The point is this. The point is this. You may know that we are coming, but you don't know when we are at a particular terminal.
Explain the makeup of the task force.
So the task force is made up of the DVLA, the National Road Safety Authority, and then the Police MTTD. Yeah, these three makes up the task force.
Okay.
Yeah.
And initially, we're not making any arrests.
They did make a lot of arrests.
As in on this operation that we're going to go on. The beginning is to sensitize and educate, and then once we've done that, we have identified who has a problem and to resolve. Okay. So the second visit is now enforced. Yeah, and that is what we call the encouraging compliance. Okay. Yeah. So just before we end the conversation, because of the place where you're coming from and the experience that you have, as drivers and users of the roads, what are some of the things that we can do to prevent road accidents?
The first thing we should do is that, you see, every time you sit in your vehicle and move the vehicle, remember your chances of returning has reduced, because there are other people on the road who may not be complying, and therefore you yourself must be very defensive and also accommodate the mistakes other people make. When you do that, you see that things that would lead into accidents can easily be avoided. let's keep to the speeds that have been displayed. And even when speeds are displayed, you should go beyond the speed and see whether the road condition even allows for you to drive at that speed. Your vehicle condition doesn't allow for you to drive at that speed. Currently, when you drive, anytime you look in your back, in your rear view mirror, the immediate driver behind you, you see the person not concentrating because the person is either on phone or making up or reading a paper. It's scary, but the moment you see these things, you have to be very careful. Yes, you have to be very careful. And once we start taking our lives first, taking responsibility that we need to save our lives, we will be able to save ourselves and save others. But where we become careless, then the situation becomes very, unmanageable. Now, if you get to junctions, people don't stop at junctions and they just drive in, and all these things we need to work at it ourselves as drivers in the first place and make sure that we start to correct the wrong behavior. People drive, get to destination, and try to recall their style of driving and say, I nearly died. And if you nearly died, why did you do it? When you are tired, you are not supposed to drive. You are tired, just have a rest. Your destination will still wait for you. All you need to do is to have proper time management and make sure that you're.
And we still stay with road traffic regulations. Now, the Dansoman Division Police, led by the Divisional Police Commander ACP Isaac Asante, has embarked on an operation to clamp down on the use of motorcycles for criminal activities within the division. In the course of the operation, the police impounded some 105 motorcycles with various offenses. The motorcycles are being screened for further action. In a similar drive, Operation Absolute Sanity was embarked upon by the Kolibo district. 85 motorbikes and 14 tricycles in the Kolibo district were impounded. The Dansoman Division Police Commander ACP Isaac Asante joins me over the telephone for a conversation. Good morning to you, sir. If you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great.
Yeah.
So why did you first go on this operation?
Yeah, I think good morning and good morning to your cherished listeners. Yeah, I think I heard you on your introduction when you said we've embarked on an Operation Absolute Sanity. So basically, we want to bring sanity on our road within the jurisdiction and also as a means of curbing motorbike-related crimes.
Is it because this division has particularly been recording a lot of cases with motorcycles involved?
Yeah, I will not say this division, but I think you are in the media, and sometimes you do hear reported cases of people riding motorbikes, creating a lot of nuisance on our road. So I think based on that, the police need to be proactive, and this is exactly what we've done or we are doing.
Okay, so what should we expect would happen to the motorcycles that you've impounded and the people who are riding?
Yes, you agree with me that it is not every motor rider who uses it for criminal activity. That is the reason why we are screening them. And yesterday, after the operation, the screening, immediately the screening exercise began. And those who were with genuine documents and who were using the motorbikes genuinely for their business, they brought their documents and their motorbikes were released. Yesterday,
An attack?
yes, if those people we impounded their motor, if truly they are people who believe in law And in this operation, they need to obey traffic regulations. 2, we also expect that the use of motorbikes for criminal activities should reduce, if not to cease.
So Operation Absolute Sanity, after these motorbikes and the screening that you're going to go through, I'm not sure that alone will bring sanity on the roads, because some actually ride really badly on the roads. What's going to happen?
Yeah, it's true. As we have done here within the Downs, by not police will operate jurisdiction rights. And I strongly believe my colleagues in other jurisdictions are also doing the same. So in totality, I think we will be able to do something. And it is not just going to be a 9-day wonder. We've done it. We did it yesterday, and I don't think we are going to end it. It is going to continue unabated.
So those that you have arrested, what kind of charges are you preferring against them?
Yeah, that is why I said those people who came with their documents, you know, they have genuine case. We could not prefer nature because some of, in fact, they were actually in their helmet, they have genuine documents, so you cannot prefer any charge against them. That's why I said we are waiting for those who do not have the genuine documents. And if I look at, if I say genuine documents, some of the motorbikes are unregistered. They don't have insurance cover. They don't have road royalty. Some are not even wearing helmets. So for them, the law will take its course.
So where's the concentration? Is it on the bikes or also the persons who are riding them at the time of arrest?
Not that. In fact, it's two. It's either on the bike or on the person. If the person is not riding and is not having a helmet, I think the charges will go to the person. If it is not registered, in fact, you cannot take action against the motorbike. I hope you understand me. It is the person, because if you are riding an unregistered motorbike, it is you, the person, who has committed the offense.
So how many of such people do you have in custody?
No, motor offenses are not criminal offenses. So we only impounded, and once you have your property with the police, you will by all means come.
So as we speak, how many motorbikes do you have?
Currently, we have about 70 with us. As I said yesterday, we were about 35 of them were able to bring their genuine documents, and that was their motorbikes were released to them. But as I speak, we have 70 now in custody. Okay,
ACP Asante, help me out. These motorbikes are not supposed to be commercially working in terms of Okada is not legal.
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of explanation, the 35 that you let go, is it just the documentation that says they're genuinely, or they're genuine in terms of documentation, right? Or you care about what business they do with the bikes?
No, we were not able to know whether the motorbike they were riding were being used for commercial purpose or not, because sometimes the motor was impounded with only the rider. So you cannot verify whether it's Okada or whatever it is. We were organizing an operation to bring sanity on the road. So we were just arresting them. You know, most of them were also not even obeying the road regulations. Where there is a red light, they were just crossing. I hope you understand.
I do get you,
like, the Okada is not like, excuse me to say, taxi that has been painted and is being used for commercial. It is very difficult to know that.
But ACP Asante, and I don't know your area very well, but there are places where we know it's visible that this place is for the motorbike riders, and if you want one to go somewhere, that's where you get them. In fact, sometimes you find more than 10 packed at a time with the riders on, waiting to get people to come and join them and move. Unless you don't have such places in your area.
Yeah, we are targeting all those areas. And for those ones, You see, those ones, it's not easy getting them, but the moment they see the presence of the police, they all scatter.
Okay. So just for purposes of education, is the passenger also offending a certain law?
Yeah, you see, normally, those we are arrested. Sometimes you get them, and they will tell you it's not Okada. It's a friend who has given him lift. You see, this is how Ghanaians are. They always want to defend the indefensible. You get the person, so this is not Okada. That's my brother who is giving a right. You cannot challenge the person. But I think we can use this opportunity to also educate Ghanaians to not to patronize their services. Because they are the same people, you take them, and they may drop you at your house, and the next time they will come and rob you. Sometimes you pick them from the bank, and they will ask people to come and cross you and take whatever money is with you. So we have to be very careful with them.
SAP Asante, if I confess that I was a passenger, what will the police do to me?
Well, it hasn't come. Nobody has confessed to me.
Okay, but if a passenger did, because sometimes I guess people would try to defend and say they are not passengers, it's not for a commercial purpose, because they are also afraid that the law will get them.
Yeah, that is why I said none of those people, the motorbike that we arrested, the moment you the person, the pillion rider, you see him going his way. You see, and none of them has indicated to me or any of the arresting officers that he was a passenger.
I'm just asking, so that we can all learn. If you find me and I'm a passenger encouraging an activity that is illegal, what would happen to me?
And that is what I'm saying. That one has not come to my notice. It hasn't come to my notice.
Okay.
Yes.
So, ACP Asante, finally, so if I came to your division, the Dansoman area today, what would I find?
You will find a lot of motorbikes here. Yes, they are right here.
So I'm talking about the entire area, because I expect that because of the operation that happened yesterday, there will be less motorbikes within the community. Would I be right?
Yes, for that one, I'm very sure you'll find them. And as I told you, it is not everybody who was arrested who was using the motorbike illegally. So it could be that you find somebody who is riding his motorbike and he has genuine documents and he's using it genuinely for his business. Yeah.
ACP Isaac Asante, we'll have to leave the conversation here. Thank you for your time. That's the Dansoman Police Commander there telling us about some motorbikes that they impounded yesterday. Now let's go back to our earlier story. This accident update that my colleague Peter Senu brought an update on. He joins us on the phone for some more conversation. Peter, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning.
Great. Good morning. So explain again. So these are accident victims. And
these are accident
but they were
victims
let go by the hospital. Why?
That they couldn't explain. What they told me was that they tried to stabilize their conditions and then let them go, and then some were referred to other facilities. But largely, most of them are in their houses, according to my sources or our sources at the hospital, that they try to stabilize their condition and ask them to come for further.
Which facility specifically are we talking about?
Or wound dressing.
Peter, which hospital is this?
That's the Kachi West District Hospital.
Okay. Is the hospital explaining why they were attending to patients, accident patients who are not recovered, and they decided to send them back home?
That they couldn't explain into details. But what I picked from my interaction with some health workers over the weekend was that they didn't want the large numbers to overshadow the other patients on the ward. So they had to, some wards, treat them and then let them go. But some of the patients who have been complaining that some said they were not even attended to at all.
But this is a facility, Peter, that had said earlier that they were not overwhelmed by the numbers. They could take care of these accident victims. So what happened?
Yes, I think Dr. Tego admitted that they were overwhelmed, but they had enough numbers to handle the situation. But I am sure that they couldn't handle some degree, or to some extent, they could only manage the situation. And I think that is what they did. And it is pretty sad situation for people of Jaisayo and then Sablakove.
How many are they in all?
And all, they should be around 50 or 50 plus, because we could count over 40 from one community, and then Sablakove, we counted 15 or more. Yeah, 15 or more. And then if you come to Jaisayo, they are around 45 thereabouts.
So what is leadership of these two communities? What are they saying? What's the next plan? Because obviously with the kind of injuries that we've seen, you can't resort to, and they're having to administer all sorts of things, and that's not healthy.
Yeah, they are only appealing for individuals, NGOs to step in and help save the situation. But we must also add that the Kratchi Youth President, Hastings Anani, he's been doing so much for them. The Shraj, the social welfare department at the assembly, they've been doing so much for them.
When you say they've been doing so much, these people need medical care.
When I went, the people of Sablakove were given 1,000 Ghana cedis, in addition to earlier amounts they have helped the community contribute to help the sick. And as we speak, I know that there were delegations sent to Accra yesterday and then to Ho to see how the others are also doing. And so I'm told that they have given some amount of money to those there yesterday and then this morning.
So the reason the Kratchi hospital couldn't take care of them and had to send them back home was because of money, lack of it?
Well, they did not admit to that on record, but it could be a factor.
But what are the patients themselves telling you?
Yes, that is it. They could not afford. One widow, the woman who was, I said, took a number of minutes or seconds to tell me what happened, said she had to dip her hand into the dead husband's pocket to pull out 30 cedis, for which they were charging her then for a 40 Ghana cedis service. And so she had to borrow additional 10 cedis to add to that before she was attended to.
Peter, we also saw...
so the money issue could be a factor. It's a contributing factor.
We also saw a baby, and you indicated that was a premature baby. Where's the mother?
Yeah, the mother is carrying her. I just didn't show her face, but the mother was the one carrying her. You know, the accident happened. She was part of the accident victims. And so when they took them to the hospital, I'm sure the pressure and everything gave her the premature delivery.
And she was also allowed to go home after how many days?
After, I think she was allowed to go home there on the next day, the following day.
So how's baby and mother doing? What's, because we obviously didn't see the woman from what you saw.
Well, she was hale and hearty from interaction from my lay eyes. She was hale and hearty. The baby was breastfeeding. They brought him out to breastfeed. And so I can say they are doing well. If there's any medical condition or complication, that I cannot tell.
So, Peter, what are these persons, when they wake up, what do they do? Because these are clearly unhealthy people who got injuries. They are supposed to be in the hospital.
Yes. So some of their wives are taking care of them. They are just, Sablakove, they are typical fishing community. And so now they can't even go for fishing. The men are those who usually do the fishing. And then you can see the healthy men all have their arms in bandage or in plaster, and so they can't do just anything. And then if you come to Jaisayo, the same thing. They do farming, yam farming, cassava, and other peasant farming. And so they can't just do anything. They wake up, and then their wives and then mothers are with them the whole day. And that is the situation they are facing now.
Well, Peter, good job with this report. We will be following up, especially when you say there have been some referrals in terms of the, you mentioned Shrash, and the fact that there's been some reporting back to headquarters in Accra. So we'll certainly do some more follow-ups on this. That's Peter Seno, my colleague, reporting from the OT region. Now, the brouhaha surrounding the construction of the Jas-Sekan-Hohoe stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road is back up for discussion following claims by government to the Roads Minister, Amoakwata, that the contractor, Rolida, is back on site. The president, addressing the chiefs and people of Jas-Sekan during his recent visit, challenged the media to visit the various road construction sites and report to Ghanaians accordingly. Correspondent Peter Senu again has been doing some checks on this particular road and has sent the following report.
The last time any meaningful work was done by Rolida on the Jas-Sekan-Hohoe stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road was in November 2019 during the sword cutting ceremony for the construction of the Jas-Sekan-Dodo-Pepesu Road. It was at this time the road was graded to make it usable. No action has since been witnessed until the visit by the president last Sunday and Monday into the region. In fact, the road became very dusty during this period of inaction. 2 vehicular accidents were recorded, one in December 2019 and the other early January 2020. Vehicles had to overspeed to avoid the dust being created by others. The president last Monday at Jas-Sekan challenged the media to get onto the grounds to find out whether or not the roads minister, Mr. Amoakwata, was telling lies in earlier claims at a press conference that Rolida was back on site and actively working. We did just that.
What you want to know? Who call them? Who call them? Say they are more white and the crack and then the crack. I'm offering to you. No, be here to me who said, as some more kind, they will work and then some call when you control. Who said the crack and all and then from.
Only 4 earth-moving machines were on site Tuesday morning, with 3 actively doing what one supervisor says is removing debris from the culverts pending the onset of the rains.
We are trying to continue the road. This is called desilting of the debris from the culverts. We are desilting the culverts so that the water can flow easily.
But why is the contractor not fully back on the grounds, contrary to claims by the roads minister that the contractor is fully back on site and work is actively ongoing?
Where Jas-Sekan 32 kilometers is being worked on by Rolida Construction, and all of you are witnesses to the good work that company is doing. Company is on site, and anybody who flies from this place to Hohoe, you see the contractor is actively on the road. And I want to assure the people of this region that the president will do everything possible, his government will do everything possible that this contractor completes work and will not abandon site, because everything will be done to keep all contractors on Eastern Corridor Road.
But why is the contractor not fully back on the grounds, contrary to claims by the roads minister that the contractor is fully back on site and work is actively ongoing? Oti Regional Minister Kwesi Osu-Yeboah has some explanation in earlier conversation.
Well, I think that is a question of payment, but the Ministry of Roads and Highways has given the assurance. We had a meeting with them. We have given the assurance that by the close of the month, most of these pending interim certificates would have been satisfied, and the contractors will move to site. So I'm quite sure that once the contractors are sufficiently empowered financially, they will move to site and quickly work on the roads for us.
This assertion about payment, the contractor said off camera they are still working on. The roads minister somehow agrees that there are possible challenges.
I stand by what I said. Florida is back to work. So, young man, I want to confirm that Florida is back on site. And I'm happy the contractor is here. And we are going to do everything possible. It doesn't mean they don't have problems, but we are going to dialogue with them on weekly basis to make sure that we meet their needs and to keep them on site.
The only good news we can report is that Power China on the Jasikanto-Pepeso stretch of the Eastern Corridor is actively on site and work is ongoing. Peter Senu for Joy News.
Peter Senu with details. Indeed, the contractor is back. Now, the Auditor General is considering surcharging of the institution that granted scholarships to 86 persons who we now know did not merit it for various reasons. Some of the 86 persons listed as beneficiaries of the Ghana Education Trust Fund scholarship have denied receiving any such educational sponsorship, while others have given various reasons they deserve the scholarships. Principal Auditor Alberta O also says they have presented report of the Get Fund audit to Parliament's Public Accounts Committee for necessary action. She spoke on Joy FM's Top Story with Evan Spencer.
Get Fund asked for the Auditor General to look into scholarship administration and Get Fund.
What you have found so far, and which has been published, what further actions have you taken in the wake of that report that you put together?
The report has been presented to the Speaker of Parliament and it's going to be laid before Parliament, and the Public Accounts Committee will sit on it. So that is what the Audit Service has done.
One of the things you're looking to do is to surcharge. I wonder, the surcharge, would it be on the Get Fund or those who benefited, as you put it, illegally?
The audit was for the institution. We audited the institution, that is Get Fund, to see that whether they have a systems in place to administer scholarships. So we're not looking at individuals, but we're looking at how the Get Fund as an institute was administering scholarships. So it is the institute that is going to be responsible for the recommendations in the report and not the individuals who benefited from the scholarships.
Okay, so in this case, the Get Fund as an institution will take on the surcharge, which, and I guess if you narrow it down, would have been the administrator or the administration itself. There must be somebody, an individual, somebody who will take that on. Would you say will be the administrator, the Get Fund administrator, who will bear that cost?
It's an institution, so we at the moment I can't single out who would be surcharged. The surcharge is the Auditor General who surcharges. So I can't speak for the Auditor General now, but what I can say is that the audit was on the institution. So if somebody has to be responsible for the actions of the institute, because we don't audit individuals, we audit institutions.
I'm asking about whether there was a recommendation to deal with the problem you found that this Get Fund was breaching the law by giving scholarships for studies abroad, when you say that the study should be local. For those students who are, for many, in fact, who are still on Get Fund scholarship studying abroad, which you believe is a breach of the law, what's the recommendation on that?
So the recommendation on that is that Get Fund, like the Secretariat, should be more prudent in its spending on scholarships. And then we recommended that the Board of Trustees should effectively exercise its oversight on the administrator to prevent such happenings in future.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Sekondi, Andrew Ejapa-Mensah, has accused the Auditor General of being selective in its audit. He spoke on the AM show explaining that has led to the politicization of the issue.
I sometimes get amazed at why we want to play politics with everything, because then it muddies the waters and we are unable to deal with the issues as they are. Because I've seen the report, which I first saw on Marek Kofi Ghan's wall on Facebook. Clearly, if there are excesses in approved expenditure that the Get Fund has disbursed, we need to get to the bottom of it and interrogate the issues. But if we find some names on the list and we focus on those names because they have some political affiliation, then you are compelled to leave the excess expenditure and deal with the politicking. Okay, I heard my very good friend Sami Okujeto quote the statute and interpret it to mean that that determination ought to be made on a case-by-case basis. I disagree, because this is a policy framework that can be determined at one time that, look, lecturers, Ghanaian students, public officials who need a certain kind of training, okay, ought to be supported by the GET fund right at the commencement of the act. And so the administrator, based on that policy determination, would approve facilities as and when they are brought before him.
But Roxing Dafamapo, who is MP for South Dai, wants the nation to focus on infractions and fix them. He also spoke on the AM show.
We should focus on those findings that adversely affect the health of the fund. Now, the other issue that I have personally found with all this, with the report, is that about 95, I did a calculation, about 95% of the courses that we have expended so much hard currency on are offered in this country. You understand? LLM, oil and gas, all those programs are in Ghana now. So your point is what? So my point is that if now we fashion a policy that in consonance with the GET Fund Act, that we must rather sponsor programs, persons who obtain the opportunity to study these programs in the country, then University of Ghana may charge, let's say, 10,000 for an LLM, and 10,000, the equivalence in pounds is about 1,300 or 1,500 pounds.
14,000.
So you will see that with your 17,000 pounds, you could cater for more beneficiaries if they are reading similar programs in the country. So the over 400 million that we had expended, melted it into foreign currency and distributed.
This issue is very much a developing one. Trust that will bring you more angles as and when we do have fresh angles to this. Coming up in business, though, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana predicts oil prices on the international market will drop further in the coming months. Emmanuel Abuajiri has got details of this in business.
Hello, good morning to you. Welcome to Business. The Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amwa, has hinted oil prices on the international market will continue to drop further in the coming months. He was, however, of the view that oil marketing companies cannot be blamed entirely for the insignificant reduction in prices at the pumps during the second pricing window of February. Duncan Amwa was reacting to some claims that oil marketing companies have not reduced prices well enough to conform to the reduction in prices of crude on the international markets.
Over the weekend, former CEO of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Alex Mode, criticized government for not ensuring that petroleum prices were reduced significantly. According to Mr. Mode, GOIL's percentage price drop is insignificant as the price of oil on the international market has fallen hugely. He tweeted that oil prices are down 7.5%, while the cedi has appreciated from 5.7 to 5.3, nearly 7.5%. He was not happy because fuel prices reduced by less than 0.2%, which did not reflect the true margins. But the Executive Secretary of Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amwa, in an interview with Joy Business, outlined some factors that contribute to the reduction in petroleum prices at the pump.
We do have elements that determine your ex-pump price. These elements at all times material will determine whether we go up we stay or we come down. Now, if you have a situation where the other factors in your price build-up are almost always pointing upwards, it's difficult to blame the oil marketing companies without blaming these factors. The three key factors: your international market prices, how much you get the product out there, then your CD or your forex bits, and then you come to where your taxes also play a huge role. And so in a situation where international market prices come down and you do not allow
shop for all insurance needs of clients. According to the company, the move seeks not only to increase insurance accessibility, but also complements the regulatory efforts to increase insurance penetration.
Recently, the National Insurance Commission ran some campaigns on radio. On our part, we are also doing a few things. Whenever we get the opportunity, we try to educate people about insurance. We sponsor events that to put the name of insurance out there. So we are doing many things in that direction.
Okay. So talking about doing many things in that direction, I also understand that Activa is looking at coming up with an online portal that seeks to provide a 360 service to the clients out there. Can you shed more light on this portal?
Yes, that's a very exciting thing we are doing. Before I go on to talk about the Activa online portal, the National Insurance Commission has also launched a motor insurance database that ensures that all motor businesses are written from one source.
And that's business for now. My name is Mano Abuachi. You have a good morning.
You know what time it is. Let's talk some sport with George Adu Jr. It's all about the Champions League, isn't it?
Yeah, before that, happy birthday to our producer.
Oh, George, that was supposed to be the last thing that we would do before.
That's important to me because
it is important to me as well.
It has a lot of implications to my pocket directly. What happens at lunch, what happens at supper.
Okay, so let's do this properly.
Yes, do it properly.
The person behind News Desk, our producer, Martha Krensel Aqua. Today's her birthday. So we wish you, Martha, a happy, happy, happy birthday. That's a very strong woman behind this production.
Very strong woman.
Yes.
Martha, I think we did this well enough to.
She's giving you just 2 minutes. So shoot.
Let me shoot. Wow. So what? Chelsea versus Bayern Munich is the Champions League game we're looking forward to. Tonight we have live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. Chelsea, Bayern Munich, what comes to mind? Okay, Chelsea beat Bayern Munich to win the Champions League in 2012.
It's not going to happen today.
And Bayern Munich had their revenge.
That is not happening today.
The Super Cup when they beat them, to win it. So that's the first game. The other game tonight is Barcelona versus Napoli, or Napoli versus Barcelona, because Barcelona away to Naples. So this is it. 3 teams for you guys. At 7 p.m. we have the UEFA Champions League preview show on Joy FM. At 7:45, the build-up for the game between Chelsea and Bayern Munich will begin. 8 p.m. there's live commentary, and we're giving you live updates also in the game involving Napoli and Barcelona.
Okay.
Not so much. I'm sure as we go through the day, there'll be more analysis on what you are to expect. But it's a tight game, and most Chelsea fans are understandably, worried about it.
Who's your money on?
Chelsea Bayern.
Yes.
The Lord will lead Chelsea. And the Bayern Munich have a striker in Lewandowski who scored 32 goals in 38 games. My God, how do you start to die down? And this Chelsea defense has been conceding. So the Lord will lead Chelsea. That's what I can say.
Amen. Well, I didn't mean that, by the way. On behalf of the production team, we thank you for watching. Please help us wish our producer, the ever so amazing Martha Krensel Aqua, a happy, happy birthday today. Thank you for watching. My name is Mama Vigo Swabwaji. We've got Interactive coming up shortly. Stay with us.